everybody, it's Pineapple here. So another format has come and gone, and you know what that means. It's time to talk about Lab in the new format. With the ban list going into effect yesterday, we have some significant changes, specifically the loss of Gamma. But that said, I think Lab is still really strong, specifically Furniture Lab. I don't think that the trap variants are going to be very good, especially when the hate that people are going to be citing is blowout cards, targeted removal, things like Denko, things like Jinzo, and I don't think that those builds are explosive enough to compete when their whole game plan is to rely on skill drain. So with that, let's hop into the card by card. First up, of course, we're on 3 Lady. You knew this before you even clicked on the video. Lady's just a ridiculous card. She does everything. She searches your entire toolbox of normal traps, which I play probably more than the average Furniture player, but she just does so much for the deck. She's both your grind, she's your win condition, she's a huge, big asshole to out. We're obviously on 3 copies of her. Her protection effect and inability to be targeted makes her immensely difficult to combat, combined with her huge stat line. We then have 1 copy of Lovely. This is the card that really enables your grind game. A lot of people get confused and think that Lady is more important, when the truth is that she's not. She is arguably less important than Lovely, who is just about everything. She represents, looping cards like Dimensional Barrier, Dogmatic Punishment, your big welcomes. She hand loops. She just does so much. I can't stress enough just that Lovely does everything for this deck, and she only gets more powerful as time goes on because better and better normal traps get found. I'm on 3 copies of Ariana. With the loss of Gamma, not having, there's not really a reason to play less than 3 copies of her. She just searches your furniture, she searches your normal traps. She just does everything. She's also a 4, which means that you get to make rank 4s, like Dugaris. If you want to play like Evil Swarm Nightmare, you can play that. Just like really good cards that are enabled to be made by her as a rank 4 engine, as well as just, being able to draw cards, puts in a lot of work, as well as searching your welcomes. For Furniture, we're on, of course, 3 copies of Chandra and 3 copies of Stovey. Most of the time, you're going to be siding out like a Chandra or 2, like going into like games 2 and 3, because you know what you're going up against. They're really good like game 1 specifically for enabling your grind, but I found that boarding out of them is gonna like help you out a lot, especially when like the things that people are boarding into are things like dumb stupid kaijus or other things. Just having a way to like get rid of your furniture for like more targeted hate towards decks is like really powerful, even if they enable you to make some really awesome turn 0 plays. I'm on 2 copies of Kuklok. Again, I see a lot of people playing 1 Kuklok, but I really don't like that because the Bystials are going to be coming back. Like there's a lot of light and dark decks in this like upcoming format that get hit by the Bystials, and so if they Bystial your 1 Kuklok, you kind of are out of luck. So I think having 2 is just a more safe call that's really necessary. I'm on 1 copy of the Field Spell. I really like the Field Spell. I've been tempted to bump it to 2 just because like it'll win you games single-handedly. It turns basic welcome into a removal spell, which is super good. I can't stress enough just how good its recursion effect is when you couple it with something like a Chaos Angel as well. Just this card does so much for the deck. I just wish that like there was a more consistent way to get to it than just the furniture. We're on 3 copies of Prosperity. I see a lot of Furniture lists playing Extrav. I really don't like Extrav. I like having my extra deck as a toolbox, as well as like getting to pick what you get is like super powerful. I think Prospe is just a better card in general, and I don't ever want to lose to just the idea that I've accidentally banished like my 2 Entis, like both copies of Entis, or my Chaos Angel, or like Dinky or Sue, or like Dugaris to get over something, or Malong, or like whatever I want from my extra. I will always have access to it, assuming I'd like banish for Prospe, right? I don't ever want to lose outs. Additionally, the fact that you can activate this like at any point in your turn, except like your battle, standby, etc. But like at any point in your main phase, assuming you don't draw cards, is like really powerful. I really like just the fact that I can go to battle, get in for a bunch of damage, then like use Prospe to ruin my opponent's day. But yeah, I think Prospe is just a better card. For normal traps, obviously we're on 3 copies of Big Welcome. It does literally everything you could ask for. It triggers your furniture, triggers Lovely, triggers Ariana Draw, just does everything you could ask for. It's big welcome. It's also, you know, Compulse in the Grave. So it's just about everything. I'm still on 3 copies of regular welcome. I've been tempted to cut it to 2, but I'm not really totally sure what I'd play. Probably more hand traps if I, you know, was to trim it down to 2. But I do like it at 3. You know, I want to see welcome as much as possible. I'm totally fine with having multiple copies. I'll just pitch it for furniture, you know, whatever. It's just another normal trap name at the end of the day. It gets you to Lovely, it gets you to Lady, it gets you to Ariana. Just gets everything in rotation, and it's recursive in the grind. So I love welcome. We're on 1 copy of Punishment. Previously I was playing 2, but that was mostly because of Kashtira, because Diablosis Mills are really annoying, and I'm really unlucky with them. But you only really need 1. You're going to loop it with Lovely anyways, so I don't see a need to play multiple copies. I like 1 Punishment. I think you could play 2 if you really wanted to, just to see it more, but I think its utility is pretty much discussed already, since it's basically a pop 2. For my other removal trap that I'm on in the main, I'm on 1 copy of Terrors. I think with Kashtira still being around, Terrace is going to be really good, because this card just reads win the game against Terrace. It says if they put a monster that's not any monster in the graveyard, you just Terrace their first special summon, set that monster to the field, and they better have Birth. And most of the time you can get rid of Birth anyway, so it's not a huge deal. Anyways, for Floodgates in the main, normal trap Floodgates, we're on my brand new copy of Secret Dimensional Barrier. It's Dimensional Barrier. This card should have been banned years ago, but it's not, so obviously I'm going to play it. Is it bullshit? Yes. But you know, what deck isn't playing some bullshit? So I'm on it. 1 copy of EEV. I can't tell you the amount of times where you just go EEV, call spell, and win the game. So much of your opponents like consistency cards, extenders and such is just going to be like spells. So just going EEV, call spell is going to, you know, remove so much of their ability to play. We're on 2 copies of Imperm as a hand trap. I've thought about 3 copies, but I kind of like it at 2. It feels good. It does what you need it to do at 2. It turns on Lady in hand, which makes it a really powerful hand trap. That's why I'm on it over, you know, Effect Veiler. It makes Lady online, so it just has like some really solid utility in this deck. Specifically, it's Imperm. I'm on 2 copies of Nib. I've been a big advocate of Nib in this deck. I do think Nib is really good in this deck, specifically with how it interacts with the furniture, with the ability to, you know, pitch it once it's activated, so you tribute your opponent's board and they don't get a token. Things like bouncing it to hand with big welcome is really funny. But I've just been bricking on like Nib when I've, you know, been playing it at 3 copies. So I think playing it at 2 so that I see it less is, you know, optimal. I'll see if that changes, but for now it's definitely gonna be a 2-0. I'm on 1 copy of Gamma Seal in the main. I just like the idea of like having 1 copy of like a kaiju, just like an all-purpose out going second. It's just funny. It's not necessarily like super good, but it's like worst case scenario, I'm going first and I pitch it for furniture, you know. It's like impossible to brick on multiple of them when you only have 1. So I really like the idea of just like 1 copy of a kaiju in the main, just as this like going second, like surprise shock factor card. We're on 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Branded is a really annoying matchup. The Mirror is really annoying. This card says win the Mirror. It says beat Branded, because, you know, even if they have extenders in Quem, you're still going to be like really hurting them when you Ash Branded Fusion. They got to pretty much draw the nuts to, you know, keep playing, to play through Ash. So I really like Ash this format. I think ashing things like Theosis is really powerful. You got Branded Fusion. It's Ash Blossom. I think it's a higher impact hand trap. I don't know if I'd put it in the turn ending category yet, but it's definitely really strong for, you know, a lot of the like really powerful decks this format. So I'm playing it at 3. We'll see if that changes as well. I'm still on Droll and Lockbird. I haven't seen a reason to, you know, stop playing Droll. Obviously, a lot of like the better decks, you know, they don't die to Droll as much, but it's still like a really powerful turn ending hand trap that's going to beat a lot of like cheesy rogue strategies, like dumb monster combo decks. And frankly speaking, I don't want to lose to those dumb cheesy monster combo decks. So we're playing Droll. In the extra, we of course are playing Chaos Angel. Chaos Angel does so much for this strategy. He's a big asshole to out. He's a just giant monster that, you know, recurs himself. He banishes on summon. Just can't stress enough how much this card was designed specifically for this deck. Just a really good card to play. If you don't have one, it's pretty much a must-have, so I would say get your hands on it. I'm still on 1 copy of Psyframe Lord Omega, even though we don't have Gamma to, you know, turn him into a hand loop. He's just a really good, you know, graveyard interruption to send off Punishment or Ulti Slayer. Specifically against things like Drytron. Like, I know that I have a big fear of Drytron in this format. A Rise Heart is going away, which means that, you know, graveyard decks are going to get a little bit more powerful. Droll is going to be probably less popular, so Drytron's just going to be running around, and he, you know, helps out against those, like, dumb graveyard decks that are just going to recur themselves, like Drytron. We're on one copy of Malong. This card makes Ulti Slayer, you know, a playable card instead of, you know, having to send something like Wind Pegasus or Omega. You know, he's a bounce when he gets sent to the graveyard. He's not as good of a target for punishment because he's not as big, but as something like an Entis, but he gets the job done when you need him to. He's a specific type of removal, which is, you know, non-destruction. So he obviously, you know, he has different utility, but, you know, I love him. For links, of course, we're on my favorite card, Goddess. You can play it under your welcome lock. With the furniture, you put 4 monsters on board like it's nothing. So I think Goddess is just really, really good in this deck specifically. She's Goddess. Some dumb punk player is going to try to cheese you with something like a Psychic End. Don't let them. That's what Goddess says. She is the anti-cheese white woman. We're on one copy of Muck. It's Muckraker, the Underworld in Lab. This says, you know, recur things like Chaos Angel. It says recur things like you're lovely. It just says get back anything when you have 2, you know, useless bodies. Like when you have furniture in the grind, and you can just take them, stuff them together, make Muck, pitch another like worthless card, get back lovely is just like so good. I can't stress enough how good Muck is. I'm on a copy of Nightmare Phoenix. Again, you can play it under your welcome lock. And it says beat Royal Decree. There's going to be idiots who try to cheese you with Royal Decree. Do not let them cheese you with Royal Decree. You can take Ariana, add Lady, make Lady, special Lady, and then make Phoenix, and then pop the Decree. So, you know, Phoenix gets the job done there. One copy of Lingaribo. Don't lose to Ibali. This is your only out to Ib, except, you know, if you have a normal summon, then you can make, you can make Muckraker. But Lingaribo is just such a safer out to have. Additionally, he's, you know, a trap negate. You got space for him, so I like to keep him just in case someone tries to cheese me. Don't let them cheese you is basically what I'm saying. Last but not least for links, we're on one copy of Bucephalos. He's your really big punishment target, as well as your link target for Ulti Slayer. He gets to send the boy, which is Garura, so he turns your punishments into draws when you get out a big monster. He also turns your Ulti Slayer into a draw, which unfortunately does turn off your ever-beloved Prosperity because you can't draw when you are attempting to use Prosperity. We're also on 2 copies of Ventus. Sometimes you use punishment multiple times. Don't run out of, you know, the best punishment target in the game. She's 2,500, so she's massive enough to, you know, get around pretty much every monster in the game, and then is a non-targeting pop. For Xyz, I'm back on Zeus. I found that I've been playing some more Xyz like Dingirsu and Dugaris to, you know, make, you know, using Zeus actually feasible. So that's why we're on him. We're on one copy of Mirror Logic because I'm playing Ulti Slayer on the side, but we'll get to that later. And he's, you know, the only good Xyz target worth playing. We're on one copy of Ding. I don't have a non-targeting, non-destructive send, non-targeting, non-destructive piece of removal in the main. So, you know, when you get faced with something like an IPA for max that someone just, you know, dropped on you, you have to out it with one of 2 things, and that's Goddess or Dingirsu. Since Lady and Lovely are 8s, you know, you can make Ding. You can't make him under Welcome, which kind of sucks, but, you know, when you're already desperate enough, so when you need him, he comes up clutch. It's Ding. And last but not least, we're on a copy of Dugaris. He helps you to get over these huge monsters that people make for, you know, dumb reasons, things like Attic Nister. Obviously, Goddess is, like, also a way to out those, but sometimes, you know, you don't have a line to Goddess, and Dugaris is just a little bit of extra utility. A lot of the time, you can just banish them for Prosby, but I still like Dugaris. In the side, I'm on 2 copies of Gamma Seal. Obviously, the 3rd one is in the main, but I found that just having more Kaijus, they're just removal cards. This deck doesn't have, like, the super greatest, like, board breaker synergy, except for 1 card, which we'll get into after this. So Kaijus are kind of, like, just super powerful. Again, I think Godarla is the optimal Kaiju just because it's an 8, and it can't wall against Lady with the 3,000 defense stat line. But, you know, I don't really have the energy to go onto TCG Player and pick that up. Next up, we're on 3 copies of Ulti Slayer. I love Ulti Slayer. I really can't stress enough just how good this card is. I think I was ahead of the curve, and I played it, you know, a format too early. But with a Rise Heart being less popular, it's much better because, you know, when the best boss monster of a format is an Xyz who is also a Macrocosmos, you're kind of out of luck. It's so good against things like branded. Every time I see some Sword Soul player with it, it just reads win the game instantly. It functions kind of like just a lot. It works pretty much like Lava Golem in the sense against Sword Soul, except, you know, I get to keep my normal. I just love this card. I like my extra deck to be a toolbox, and Ulti Slayer turns it into a toolbox. For normal traps, tech cards, we're on 1 IDP. This card is good specifically for the mirror, as well as a lot of rogue strategies lose to Ice Dragon's Prison. You'll notice that a lot, that you're going to be like boarding into IDP. I think it's a must in the side, just with how it interacts with like cheesy rogue strategies. It interrupts Grave really well, but that said, like, it's Ice Dragons. It's just a really good card. I don't think that anyone is playing stuff in the main that justifies it, but, you know, you got to have them in the side for, you know, non-destructive, non-targeting removal. 1 copy of Daruma Destructive Cannon. It says beat towers monsters, beat link decks. I think Daruma is a really good card. I just can't justify putting it in the main. I don't think I have the space. I want to play more hand traps. But it is a really, really, really powerful card that does exactly what you need, which is out towers monsters. So I love Daruma, but I can't justify putting it in the main. Also on the side, 1 copy of Deck Dev. Unlike EEV, this card is pretty much not always applicable. I'd like to play a copy of Full Force as well. I just don't have one on me. But this card just, you know, dumpsters things like Fluanderies. It dumpsters these like ridiculous, like dumb decks who all are super tiny. It hits Sprite really hard, so that's true. I think Deck Dev, I think you should be on Full Force. If I had a copy of Full Force, I would probably play it, but I do not, unfortunately, because I just don't. 1 copy of Different Dimension Ground. This can be Full Force, but I think you probably want to play Different Dimension Ground as well. It's 1 turn macro for monsters only. And for that reason alone, it's worth playing. It's searchable. I don't like Shifter. I think Shifter doesn't really synergize super well with like the furniture and stuff. It hurts your welcome recursions. It hurts your big welcome bounces in Grave. And Different Dimension Ground just doesn't have any of those drawbacks. And it's going to beat the same things that, you know, Shifter does. It's different. It's DDG. We're also on 3 copies of Judgment. It's Solemn Judgment. You're a back row deck. People are going to be siding hate like Denko Seka, Jinzo, Duster, Storm evenly. Don't let them, you know, use their hate against you. Hit them with the old man say no. I'm on 3 copies of Gozen. I think one of these definitely should be Full Force. I can't decide like what is better to play. I definitely think Gozen is just this really, really good card that beats rogue strategies. But again, like, I also want to play Nib. I want to use my extra deck, things like Goddess, things like Nightmare Phoenix. And Gozen says you can't really, you know, utilize the toolbox as well. It also says you can't really use IDP. But that said, I think the things that it beats, like Kashtira, it just is an auto win, and subsequently, you know, you gotta play it. I don't like playing Gozen, but I definitely think it is the best call. That's all I got for today, guys. But I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one.